Leo, radiant soul of the Zodiac. Tonight, the stars are aligning for something extraordinary. You didn't click on this video by accident. There's a reason your spirit led you here. A miracle that has already been written into your soul's contract is drawing near, and tonight, its energy begins to rise. This isn't just another day. And this isn't just another message. This is a sacred moment in time, a cosmic invitation for you to remember who you truly are. Because something you once thought impossible is already on its way, and your soul knows it. You can feel it in the quiet moments, in the tingling anticipation, in the sudden signs that keep appearing. This is what happens when destiny begins to move. And if you're still listening right now, that means you're ready. Leo, you've always been the leader, the one who lights the path for others. But tonight, I'm inviting you to step off the stage, not to hide, but to come home to yourself. Because for too long, you've carried the weight of staying strong for everyone else. Now it's your turn to receive. To stop performing and start allowing the divine to perform for you. Your inner fire, once dimmed by exhaustion, expectation, or silence, is being reignited by something cosmic. And no, this is not wishful thinking. This is written in the stars. When I pulled the cards before this reading, the energy was crystal clear. The Strength card rose first, your card reminding you that true courage is not about holding it together, but about letting go of what no longer aligns. Then came the High Priestess, whispering that your intuition has been right all along. You've been sensing the shift. You've been dreaming about the change. And now it's no longer just an inner feeling. It's real. It's unfolding. And finally, the star revealed itself, confirming that what's coming isn't random. It's a divine response to every time you kept believing, even in the dark. So let me ask you, Leo. What if tonight was the beginning of everything you secretly wished for? Would you be ready to let it in? Would you be willing to claim it, not with fear, but with the fiery grace that only a true Leo can embody? If any part of your being is saying, yes, then I want you to do something powerful right now. Pause for a moment. Breathe deep. Then type this in the comments. I am ready to receive the miracle that was written in the stars for me. When you do that, you're not just writing words. You're activating energy. You're affirming your alignment with what's already on its way. And before we go any deeper, let me take a moment to thank you sincerely for being here. Every like, every comment, every share, every new subscriber brings you closer to this growing spiritual family of eternal mindfulness. Your presence here fuels this space and allows these life-changing messages to continue reaching the people who need them most. And trust me, Leo, you'll want to stay with me all the way to the end of this reading. Because what the universe is preparing for you is nothing short of breathtaking. Now tell me, what energy brought you here tonight? Let's find out together. Stay with me. When the Strength card appears in a Leo reading, it rarely speaks about physical force. Instead, it reflects the silent endurance of someone who has learned to lead without roaring. And yet, Leo, beneath that regal calm, there's often a silent strain, an invisible pressure to always appear composed, in charge, resilient. You have carried the weight of being the strong one for so long that even your most intimate moments have become battlegrounds where softness is withheld in the name of survival. But the universe, in its perfect timing, is inviting you to redefine what strength truly means. True strength doesn't look like holding everything together. It looks like knowing when to let go. Like a lion resting in the tall grass, watching, breathing, waiting, not out of weakness, but out of knowing that presence itself is power. You see, the divine doesn't ask you to perform. It asks you to remember. And the first truth it's whispering back to you now is this: you don't need to prove your worth through perseverance. You already are worthy. This isn't a declaration you have to earn, it's a fact you must allow yourself to reclaim. Then enters the High Priestess. She does not speak, but she shows. She does not shout, but she sees. Her energy beckons you inward, not because the world outside is wrong, but because the answers you seek are already humming beneath the surface of your awareness. This card is your soul's mirror. It reflects the quiet nudges, the dreams you've dismissed as too symbolic, the subtle sensations in your body when something feels off but your mind can't explain why. The High Priestess does not ask you to understand. She asks you to listen. And that listening is the bridge back to yourself. It's the space where you remember that your light was never extinguished, only momentarily obscured. Think of the sun rising behind a thick veil of morning mist. Just because you can't see its full brilliance doesn't mean it isn't there. That's you right now, Leo. You are not becoming light, you are light. You've just forgotten how to feel your own radiance. But don't worry, your remembering is already in motion. That brings us to the Emperor, a card often misunderstood as rigid or controlling. But in its higher vibration, the Emperor is not about domination, it's about conscious structure. The invitation here is to examine the walls you've built around your heart. Were they made of protection or control? Have your boundaries become barriers? You may have believed that staying in charge kept you safe, but sometimes, what we call stability is simply fear dressed in discipline. Numerologically, the Emperor resonates with the number 1, a symbol of new beginnings, self-leadership, and the courage to stand alone, not out of pride, but out of clarity. When you embrace your inner Emperor without the mask of performance, you reclaim the throne of your life, not by controlling the outcome, but by aligning with truth. And that truth may ask you to step back, to release something or someone, to risk disappointing others in order to be loyal to yourself. So let me ask you, Leo, what are you still holding on to so tightly, calling it love, when it's really fear? What decision do you keep postponing because choosing differently would mean unmasking a part of yourself you've kept hidden even from your own reflection? In practices of deep mindfulness, there's a saying: when the hand lets go of clinging, it can finally open to receive. The same is true of your heart. When you release what is no longer rooted in truth, you create space for what is. That's not a loss. That's liberation. And the miracle that's been waiting for you? It can only enter when you make room for it. Not by force. Not by fixing. But by feeling. And then finally trusting. Recognition from the universe rarely arrives with trumpets or fanfare. More often, it comes quietly, like the gentle warmth of morning sunlight brushing across your face before your eyes fully open. The Six of Wands does not only herald applause from the world, it marks the inner moment when you realize you no longer need it. And Leo, this is the stage you're entering now, not because you sought it, but because you've outgrown the need to be chosen by others. You've chosen yourself. This card is often seen as the card of victory, and it is, but not victory as in conquest. It's victory as in return. A return to the self. To your center. To the moment when you understand that worthiness isn't something proven, it's something remembered. And when you embody that truth, recognition naturally follows, not as a reward, but as a reflection. You may notice someone from your past reaching out again, perhaps a figure who once misunderstood or undervalued you. The emotional reaction you feel might surprise you, not because it's intense, but because it isn't. Because now, instead of waiting for closure or craving their validation, you meet their return with clarity. You've grown, not around the absence, but through it. This is what it means to become the chooser instead of the chosen. That doesn't mean arrogance, it means sovereignty. You've stepped into a space where love, opportunity, and even the past itself must meet you on equal ground, or not at all. This shift isn't just emotional. It's energetic. According to the law of attraction, the frequency you hold shapes the experiences that come to you. When your energy was rooted in seeking, the universe mirrored back lessons in loss and longing. But now, as your vibration rises toward calm authority, radiant joy, and quiet assurance, everything changes. You don't have to chase. What is aligned with your frequency will recognize your field and find you. And in this period, your field is especially magnetic. Two colors emerge from this energetic palette with meaning and power. The first is a brilliant, golden yellow, a hue that signifies not just solar energy, but conscious visibility. It is the light of being seen not just by others, but by yourself. It represents the moment you look in the mirror and recognize your own strength without needing it to be confirmed. The second is ruby red. Deep, grounding, powerful. It speaks of rebirth, of personal fire that no longer burns to impress, but to illuminate. This is not about the world revolving around you. It's about you returning to your own orbit, stable, sovereign, whole. In certain ancient teachings, there is a wisdom that says, when the student stops asking, the teacher appears. When the heart stops grasping, the miracle lands. And when the soul stops waiting, life begins to flow. Let this be your mantra for today. I don't wait for miracles. I am the miracle. Say it aloud. Let it settle in your chest. Let it move through your breath and out into your day. And if this message touches something inside you, if it confirms what you already sensed but didn't yet know how to name, write it below in the comments. Let it be your declaration, your signature in the cosmic contract that's already unfolding. You don't need to run. You only need to rise. And when you do, life responds not with noise, but with alignment. Not with clamor, but with clarity. Not with demand, but with recognition. Because the universe always acknowledges a soul who finally sees themselves. There are moments in life when everything seems quiet on the outside, yet something undeniable stirs within. You may not see the evidence yet, but you can feel the gentle pressure of something sacred approaching. The star card emerges in times like these, not as a prediction, but as a confirmation. It tells you that what once felt lost is not only returning, it's returning in a higher, clearer form. And that, Leo, is what this moment holds for you. Not a recovery of the old, but the revelation of something new that has always been waiting for you, just beyond your previous level of belief. The star is not about instant change. It's about realignment. It symbolizes the energy that follows after a breakdown, the glimmer of renewal that surfaces after you've already released control. The star doesn't shout. It hums. It glows softly, like a quiet assurance in the night sky, reminding you that your light is not measured by your output but by your essence. When you trust its guidance, you're not being asked to strive, you're being asked to soften into what's already unfolding. Sometimes, just when a person believes all has been lost, that there's nothing left to hold on to, a door appears not in front of them, but within them. And when that inner door opens, the world outside begins to change as well. There's a story I often return to of a woman who, after years of heartbreak and stillness, reached a point of complete surrender. She no longer wished for the old to return, she simply allowed herself to be present with her own breath. And in that stillness, life moved. A message arrived. An opportunity opened. A version of herself she had forgotten came home. She didn't chase the miracle. She became available to it. That's the energy of the star. It's not coming because you're lucky. It's arriving because you've emptied enough space to receive it. The miracle was never late, it was simply waiting for the moment you stopped resisting the pause. And then, the sun rises. In tarot, this is one of the most radiant cards. But its brilliance is never random, it follows darkness with purpose. The sun represents not only joy but the clarity that comes after confusion. After all the questions, the waiting, the shadow work, there comes a warmth that doesn't just surround you, it grows from you. What you thought you lost in the night, you discover glowing within at dawn. In numerology, the star resonates with the number 17 reduced to 8, the number of inner strength, rebirth, and balance between the material and spiritual. The sun holds the number 19, which becomes 10 and then 1, symbolizing divine completion and fresh beginning. Together, these numbers tell a story. You've come full circle, and now, you begin again, not from where you were, but from who you are. This is not hope. This is readiness. Life has been preparing you for something your past self could not yet hold. And now, the miracle written in the stars can meet you where you truly are. So when you feel that quiet sense of anticipation tonight, know this: it's not random. It's not in your imagination. It's resonance. It's alignment. The stars don't make promises they can't keep. And if you are here, now, listening, then you're already inside the miracle. Allow yourself to receive it. Not by searching. Not by trying harder. But by knowing you are enough. Because, Leo, the stars wrote this into your story a long time ago. All you have to do now is say yes. When the body begins to feel tired for no apparent reason, when the heart feels heavy even on a sunny day, it's often not because something is wrong but because something is trying to speak. Fatigue, both physical and emotional, is one of the most overlooked messengers of the soul. In ancient wisdom teachings, it's understood that when the body slows down, it's because the inner self is asking to be heard more deeply. If you've been feeling unusually drained lately, Leo, don't rush to push through it. Instead, ask what part of you has been whispering for rest, for space, for acknowledgement. The alignment between your breath and your awareness is more important now than ever. Returning to your breath, just a few slow inhales through the nose, and even slower exhales through the mouth can begin to reset the nervous system and calm the fire within. Gentle yoga, walking meditations, or even just 5 minutes of stillness in the morning can create a small but profound shift. Warm water with ginger, reducing caffeine, and adjusting your sleep rhythm may seem like basic suggestions, but they are acts of reclaiming your energetic sovereignty. They are how you signal to your body, "I am listening." The energy of Ace of Wands appearing in your reading speaks of new beginnings in your career, but this isn't just about work. It's about purpose. Something you've held quietly in your heart, maybe an idea, a talent, or a dream that seemed impractical, is being reawakened. You may be surprised at how quickly doors begin to open once you shift your focus from doing what's safe to doing what sets you on fire. The question to ask yourself isn't, "Is this profitable?" but, "Is this real?" Take small steps, revisit your resume, speak your idea aloud, make a one-page plan. When action is aligned with truth, it doesn't have to be loud, it only has to be honest. Financially, the presence of the Queen of Pentacles brings a reminder that abundance flows when you truly value what you bring to the table. Sometimes, we spend in ways that try to soothe something unspoken, emotional spending dressed as self-care. Now is a good time to look at where you're investing your time, money, and attention. Are you nurturing your growth, or simply escaping discomfort? Consider spending less on temporary relief and more on long-term nourishment like courses, skills, or tools that enhance your independence. Financial grounding begins when you realize your value doesn't come from proving your worth, but from owning it quietly, consistently, and unapologetically. In love, the Two of Cups whispers of meaningful connection. For those in relationships, this is a sacred invitation to rediscover one another beyond routine. It doesn't take grand gestures. It takes presence. A look, a touch, a shared moment of silence can speak volumes. For those who are single, you may already sense that someone is energetically approaching, not because you're searching, but because you've become more yourself. When you stop chasing love and start embodying truth, connection finds you. As for family, the appearance of the Justice card signals an important inner balance being reflected outward. You might be called to be a bridge between generations, between opinions, between unspoken feelings. But balance doesn't mean silence. It means having the courage to speak the truth with compassion. When you choose honesty over harmony, and still deliver it with love, you become a mirror for everyone around you. You don't have to fix the whole house. You only need to anchor your own foundation in clarity. So in this cycle, Leo, your healing will not come from intensity, it will come from simplicity. From slowing down. From choosing what feels real. From speaking even when your voice shakes. From resting even when your mind races. And from loving not because it's owed, but because it's true. When you return to this place, your health, work, finances, and relationships don't just improve, they become reflections of the peace you chose to create within. There comes a point on every soul's path where the question quietly shifts from, "What do they think of me?" to, "What do I truly want to create?" This is the essence of the King of Wands, a card that doesn't ask for permission, doesn't wait for applause, and doesn't explain its fire. It simply moves, confidently and with purpose, guided not by the need to impress but by the need to express. When this card appears in a Leo reading, it's more than symbolic. It's an awakening. It marks the moment when you stop defining yourself by the roles others have cast you in, and start reclaiming your right to shape your life with intention. You were never meant to live in the shadows of other people's expectations. But sometimes, even the brightest souls dim their own light in order to fit into familiar spaces. This often begins subtly, saying yes when you want to say no, taking on responsibilities that don't belong to you, staying silent when your heart wants to speak. These small acts, over time, accumulate into a life shaped more by reaction than creation. The King of Wands does not react, directs. He builds a life not based on what the world wants from him, but on what he chooses to give. This card is the embodiment of vision. Not just dreaming, but daring. And here's what often goes unnoticed: daring doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like finally choosing to leave a job that drains you. Or speaking up in a relationship where your needs have gone unheard. Or sitting down at your desk with trembling hands to begin writing that book, launching that idea, making that phone call that you've put off for years, not because you're not ready, but because you feared being seen. But there is nothing more magnetic than someone who chooses to be seen, not for validation, but for truth. This is the spiritual wisdom of aligned action. In the teachings of cause and effect, it is said that every choice we make either reinforces the illusion that we are powerless or reawakens the truth that we are not. When you act from clarity, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble, you begin to dissolve the internal narratives that say, "I can't," or "I'm not enough." Each courageous step becomes an act of purification, not just of your path, but of your mind. You become more yourself with every choice made in alignment. The law of attraction affirms this: what you embody, you attract. Not because you are chasing it, but because your energy becomes unmistakable. You don't need to become worthy of being chosen. You have already been chosen, not by another, but by life itself. From the moment you were formed, the universe planted in you a thread of purpose that can only be followed by you. Every time you delay your desires out of fear of judgment, you move further from that thread. Every time you honor your fire, even in small ways, you realign with it. So if there's a part of you that's been burning to do something bold, but you've kept it locked inside because you were afraid of what others might say, now is the time to gently ask, is their opinion more sacred than my calling? Place your hand on your heart and ask, what makes me come alive, and why have I been postponing it? The answer might not come in words. It might come in sensation, in emotion, in that quiet electric feeling when you picture yourself actually doing the thing. That is your soul saying yes. That is your moment of return. Like a lion emerging from the forest, not to seek praise, but simply to bay. You don't owe the world an explanation. Your existence, your fire, your choice is already enough. And from this space of self-ownership, life begins to respond. Not with instant reward, but with steady recognition. Not with approval, but with alignment. Because when you stop waiting to be chosen, and choose yourself instead, the universe rearranges everything to meet you there. Tonight, you are not just listening to a prediction. You are being gently awakened to a truth your soul has known all along. Every word you've heard, every card we've explored, every symbol that stirred something inside you wasn't meant to impress you. It was meant to remind you. Remind you that you are not lost. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time, and the miracle you've been waiting for has actually been waiting for you. The choice you now face is subtle, but it is powerful. You can return to what is familiar, to the rhythm of effort and doubt and second-guessing. Or you can step forward into the light. into the self that no longer apologizes for wanting more. Into the space where you remember that your fire was never too much, it was simply waiting to be directed, not dimmed. And maybe the most extraordinary truth of all is this: what's coming next is not a reward for being perfect. It is a reflection of your willingness to be present. You don't need to earn what's already written for you in the stars. You only need to align with it. Just as a flower doesn't force itself to bloom, it simply follows the sun. Your life, too, is being drawn towards something brighter. You don't need to push. You don't need to beg. You simply need to say yes. So let me ask you, honestly, what would change if, just for today, you stopped doubting your readiness? What might unfold if you gave yourself permission to believe that the miracle isn't out there but already within you, quietly preparing to rise? You've already taken the first step by being here. By listening. By allowing these messages to reach the most sacred part of you, the part that knows the truth when it hears it. The part that no longer wants a sign because it is the sign. Now, I invite you to deepen that connection. To affirm your readiness not just in your heart but in your actions. If something touched you in this message, let it echo into the world. Leave a comment below that says, "I am ready to step into my miracle." Let that sentence become your soul's signature, your alignment, your activation. You'll be surprised how powerful one honest declaration can be when it comes from your deepest truth. And if you haven't yet, I lovingly ask you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message with someone else who may need to hear it. Every interaction you make here helps this sacred space grow, allowing eternal mindfulness to continue bringing light, clarity, and transformation to others walking this path with you. Your presence, your voice, your energy is part of a much larger healing movement than you may realize. As you move forward from this moment, carry this with you: you don't need a miracle to feel whole. You are the miracle. You are the convergence of every lesson survived, every hope held, and every truth reclaimed. And if tonight feels like something is shifting, it's because it is. Not outside of you. Within you. I believe in you. The universe believes in you. And whether or not you can see it yet, I promise you something breathtaking is already unfolding behind the scenes. Stay open. Stay steady. And most of all, stay rooted in the knowing that this next chapter wasn't just written in the stars, it was written for you.